Thank you so much, Holly, for allowing us to be the sponsor of the event. I've known Loren for it's probably been close to 7 years now. And if you have not had the pleasure of being in one of his seminars or classes, you're in for a treat, because literally, he's going to blow your mind. You're going to walk out of here and say, how have I not had him in my life sooner? So anyway, I'm super happy to be a part of this and to continue to learn from Loren. All right? Thank y'all.
Thank you. Well, Rochelle gave already a really great introduction. So as we are all very, very excited, this has been one of these business development events. It's been kind of in the making for a bit, because I think I've been plugging away, right? I'm like, oh, I really want you to be here. It's just going to be amazing. And we all want to know how to master the art of our elevator speech through storytelling. And like Rochelle said, I haven't had the pleasure yet of being in an entire program with him. I've just been in his presence at several different things, whether it's through Rise and Grind or just coming to our Coffee and Connections and listening to him stand up and give a very engaging, immediate story where you're just like, what's going to happen next? What is he going to say next? And it is all about being able to master that art. And so I'm very pumped and very excited and very grateful that y'all are here. And so Loren Norris is our speaker. He has a video that really breaks down his bio, so I don't want to necessarily take away any of that thunder. But he's with Tell Better Stories Better, and he is a John Maxwell coach, certified coach and trainer. And so we are going to learn some amazing things from Mr. Loren. Come on up.
Thank you very much.
Would you like this back?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that one off for now until another victim has to have it. Did everybody put their business card in the funny little basket my wife brought?
No.
Okay. Karen, will you grab that basket, make sure everybody's business card is in there? There are two things that are going to happen with that basket. I'll tell you that in a minute.
He has spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Storypower TV, Transforming Grace TV and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television, as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome Loren Norris.
All right, so that's what we would have called back in the day. How many of you had 45, 78s, and maybe even some 33 LPs? Raise your hand, go ahead. I can tell by the look on your face that you already know what I'm talking about, so don't pretend that you don't know what an LP is. But if you had an LP, you know what the A side was, right? What was the B side? Come on, anybody just shout it out. You don't have to raise your hand, it's not welcome that far. What was the B side?
The other side. The number 2 song.
The number 2 song, what was it usually?
The afterthought.
The afterthought. That was oh. Remember when we had to buy cassette tapes and you had to buy a cassette tape with 12 songs on it? And 2 of them were good, if you were lucky. But you had to buy all 10 even if the rest of them sucked, right? How many of you would watch a video like that and go, okay, I'm kind of impressed with all that, but you're still thinking, all right, when's the other shoe drop? What's the B side? How many of you want to know the B side? Half of you care and the others are like, yeah, whatever. Okay, so let me put it like this. I was raised the only son of a single mom. I was molested at 9 years old. Spent 25 years addicted to porn as a result of that. Had 22 partners before I married my wife. Had 13 moving violations when I joined the Air Force, and so they denied my top secret security clearance. So even though I had been trained in electronics engineering, I couldn't go into EOD. I ended up a firefighter and spent my 5-year career as a firefighter in the Air Force. I got out of the Air Force, met my wife within the first year after being in the Air Force, And last September, we celebrated 29 years. This year is our 30th year together. Now, if you're doing the math, you're asking the question, 25 years addicted, 30 years married, what were you, like 5? No, I wasn't 5. But I did bring that nonsense into the first 10 years of my marriage. Now, the question you're asking yourself now is, why are you telling me that? Why do I care? Right? Anybody asking that question in their head, why are you telling me all this? Let me ask you this question. How many of you have a job right now that you're not qualified to do? Okay. How many of you have a job right now that if you were honest with yourself, the thing that you do, you're qualified to do because of the things you've lived through? Right? So what I've found, and this morning, anybody watch Leading Leaders podcast? Live this morning, we had someone in the studio who has never been through the process of Storypower coaching. And so they got a live 30-minute coaching call right there in the studio this morning. We live streamed it as we were doing it. And my challenge was, you tell a story and I'm going to tell your story back to you. Because that's what I do for Storypower coaching. What was ironic was when this person told their story, they had no idea how that story was relevant to the business they're currently in. How many of you would say, if you just randomly told me a childhood story, you couldn't put 2 and 2 together to go, why does anybody care about my business? How many of you would say that's probably true? So what if I gave, I don't know, say 5 people a random opportunity to come up here and tell any story you want to, and I'll take your story and I'll tie it back to your call to action, and I'll let you record that with your phone so you can have that to use it later. Would anybody be interested in that? That's why you put your cards in this basket. Now, at the end of the event, we have some handouts for you to remind you of all the stuff that we talked about today. But I want to do this before we get into the teaching for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I don't want you to feel like you're trying to perform to the standard of the teaching today. I want you to just come out of the box and be yourself and be natural and tell the story the way that you would normally tell it. If you were at the gas pump or standing in the line at a grocery store. I also want you to take that story, and you're probably going to realize when you tell it, okay, that has nothing to do with my business. How is he going to connect the two together? And I'm going to demonstrate it for you, and then I'm going to teach you how. But I don't want you to feel like you have to perform to that standard. So if we do this before we start the teaching, then you don't feel like, okay, well, I messed it up somehow. Because you're just in a raw state. Is that fair? Okay. So is everybody game? If I pull 5 random cards out of here, is there anybody who's like, no, put my name back? There's a couple of you who are already like, no, put my name back. I haven't even put your name out of here yet. You're already worried. Okay, let's see about this one. Titan hunting blinds, Jason. Jason says no. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Oh, by the way, at the end, we're going to draw one of these, and somebody's going to get a one-on-one, 1-hour coaching session. Carissa. Are you game? No, you don't have to come right now. Are you game? Yes. Will you come up and participate in the activity? Yes. Okay, yes, good. All right. This little Easter basket is really hard to shake these cards up in. We were supposed to have a fishbowl, but we couldn't find it this morning. I guess the fish didn't want to give it up. Rochelle, look at that. She's like, you're not going to get it. Can I ask you if I don't want to do it? Well, you've already been up here. Mills. Chris Muller. You good? All right. 2 more victims. 2 more victims. Anybody want to volunteer before I pull a victim out? Okay, we got 2 right there. Sue and Regina. See if you can find Regina's card in there. Sue, did you put your card in there? Do you even have a card?
I do.
No, I don't think I've ever seen your business card. I just see a lot of Sue. All right. We got 5 people. Who wants to go first? All right, Rochelle, you're up.
Actually, you can't be so great at something.
Great? Are you kidding me? Did you see me doing my little talk this morning on something? This is what I do for a living, so come on.
All right, so you can hold it like this, or you can clip it on your shirt, whichever is more comfortable for you.
Neither. It's okay. I'll participate.
All right, I need a timer. Who has a phone with a timer on it that has an audible alarm. All right, Miss Holly's going to do that. So here's how the rules work. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask you for a call to action. Meaning, what's going to be most profitable? Is it use our title company, sign up, join this program, get into our community, buy the book, whatever it is.
Okay.
And then the next thing we're going to do is set that completely aside.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me just an interesting story from your childhood. You have 2 minutes. All of you, at the end of 2 minutes, when the alarm goes off, we're all going to clap. Go ahead and practice. Clap as loud as you can. Come on, everybody. And this is how we know 2 minutes has been reached. Whether you're done or not, we're clapping.
That means shut up.
If you're still talking, we'll clap louder until you stop talking. But at the end of 2 minutes, you're done.
I might can be louder than your clap. You gave me a microphone. Just kidding.
All right, so you can tell any story you want to.
Okay.
Think of an event, an incident, a moment in time. It doesn't have to be a lifelong monologue, just a story. The timer will start when you start talking.
So do I need to give you my call to action?
What is your best call to action?
Since I'm here representing my company, I would say to use our title company, our services.
Okay, and all your real estate transactions?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Okay, my name is Rochelle Sim, and I speak to people for a living, but it wasn't always that way. I was a super introvert. When I say introvert, if I was called on in class, I threw up. So then you could imagine that was like, that just added to it. The more humiliation, the more introvert. I didn't want to go to school. Everybody laughed at me because they knew if I got called on, I was going to throw up. So this carried on. But there was an interesting thing. Cable came out. I know there's probably some of you here that remember the exact time when cable came out. And they had female bodybuilding. Amazing. I was amazed. I was like in the 6th grade. And so I thought, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Well, in the 7th grade, our teacher made us write a paper on what do we want to do when we grow up. I wanted to be a female bodybuilder. I did not know we had to read that in class, and it was our final grade. I told them no, and she said, then you'll fail my class. Well, it was important to me to pass because my whole life was athletics. I wrote the paper, I had to read it in class. They all laughed at me. Of course, I threw up. I cried, and I wadded up the paper, and I never spoke of it again. It took me years later to become a female bodybuilder, to get past the scared, the introvert. A little bit before that, I became a group fitness instructor and a personal trainer. On the stage of a group fitness instructor, I could be whoever I wanted. Nobody knew who I was. I could be whoever I wanted. I sang in that microphone. I can't sing. I could be whoever I wanted, and that helped me go to my next level where I decided I'm going to do female bodybuilding. And my very first one, well, I was a plus-size girl after I had my kids, so I had a lot of work to do, but I got there. And I went to my first competition, said I'm not going to do it. I don't look like them. I won first place. It put me in nationals 8 weeks later in Las Vegas, and that took on a career of 10 years of competing.
If you'd like to turn your phone on and start recording, just let me know when you're ready. I'm fascinated with the fact that she has that boot on because this is probably the only time I can outrun her.
You can't outrun me right now, but just wait.
She's like, give it a week.
Or a few.
Okay, a few. We were just talking about the fact that they can actually make all kinds of things out of 3D, and we can fly electric cars to the moon, but we can't fix a broken bone, for heaven's sake. So why don't we just 3D print them and be done with them? All right, timer ready?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Every time I stood up to speak, I would throw up. It was kind of like my trademark. Everybody knew that if I had to get in front of the crowd, I was going to throw up. The teacher encouraged us to come up with something that we wanted to be when we grew up. And I set my sights really high. I saw these female bodybuilders, and I thought, I could do that. They don't have to talk. I could do that. I could do that. But unfortunately, we had to write out that story, and then the teacher didn't tell me after we wrote out what that plan was going to be, what that vision was going to be, what we really wanted to be when we grew up, that we'd have to read it in front of the class. And I did. That means I spoke. And guess what else I did? I threw up. And they laughed at me, and I cried. And I threw away that dream. And it was only years later that I was able to go back and get in touch with that dream, and it motivated me again. And I found that through this bodybuilding, this fitness thing, I could actually get in front of a room with a mic on my head and sing and dance, and it was like I was an actress. I was somebody completely different. And I got out of my box, and I got over my fear. And I didn't just become a bodybuilder, I became a champion. I became a competitor at the highest level because I was able to get over my fear. Now you might be asking, why in the world is a title person telling me that? Maybe you've never experienced that fear and intimidation of not knowing how to close the deal in real estate. Maybe you're a new agent. Maybe you have a piece of property and the paperwork's a little questionable. Listen, we got 12 attorneys on staff. We've got years of experience. And if it comes to closing the deal, fighting through the title process, capital title is beside you the whole way. I know what it means to be terrified. I know what it means to overcome. I know what it means to fight until you win. I did, and we will. I'm Rochelle's son with capital title. All right, who's next? Chris, Sue, Carissa, or Regina? First one up here. Carissa got voluntold. Congratulations. I know somebody else with that same last name. Sorrel?
Yes.
You related?
Maybe.
Based on?
Nope. Oh, I don't know. It's my husband's name. He's related, maybe.
Say it again?
It's my husband's name, so he's probably related, not me.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm nervous. Don't ask me more questions right now.
What's your best call to action?
My best call to action.
Is it in the job you have right now, or is there something bigger than that?
It's in the job that I have right now.
Okay, and what is the best call to action?
It would be to come by the Y and participate in our programs. We have everything from active older adults to kids' youth programs. So participating in that and spreading the word for our mission and everything that we're trying to do at our Y.
Okay. Good job. All right, so you understand the rest of the rules? You got 2 minutes. Timer's going to start when you start talking. I don't care what the story is about. I'll find a way to time together.
Okay.
All right, start when you're ready.
Ready? Okay.
We're gonna track our timer because of my level.
Okay. Ready? Okay, so as a child, I had other siblings, but I was raised by my grandmother as an only child. And I grew up with a drug addict mother, alcoholic father, and not many friends with having a family like that and a family history in this town. So as I went through school, I was a very big introvert and kind of just stayed to my own. I went through high school with the same best friend and ended up marrying my high school sweetheart. But I specifically remember going to one of my middle school field trips and being so excited to get out there and try. I think it was just the 50-yard dash. I wanted to be the fastest kid out there. I wanted my grandmother to be there, and I remember looking up in the stands, hoping that my mother would, darn it, hoping that my mother would be there. And she wasn't. And I ended up panicking and losing and having my first anxiety attack ever. And I remember from then on trying to be there for other kids in my situation and being there for kids that had parents in and out of jail or in the system, and trying to shelter myself from being hurt any further, but also being a support system for other kids like that. And still stayed to myself for as long as I can remember, just keeping everything close to home and being scared of putting myself out there. And so my moment that I can remember the most is being left alone at a field trip or a field day in school.
How much time did she have left? 20 seconds. Say it again.
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
Okay.
Growing up, I had a lot of siblings, but we didn't ever see each other. I spent most of my time by myself because my grandma raised me like an only child. So I was sheltered from a lot of stuff, which also made it really easy for me to intentionally shelter myself from a lot of people. But there was this one time, this one moment that I was kind of ready to break out of my box. For the first time ever, I was going to run in front of all of these people. I was going to do the 50-yard dash. I wanted to be the fastest one out there. I had my heart set on this accomplishment, this finally coming out of my shell. And when it came time for the race, I lined up. And instinctively, I looked to the stands to see who's supporting me. Now, if you've ever been an introvert, if you've ever struggled with being accepted by other people, you just want that one win. That one thing you can be best known for. You want to accomplish something. You want somebody to go, yes, great job. And I really hoped that I'd see my mom and my grandma up there in that stand, but when I looked, I didn't. There was nobody to cheer me on. So I kind of freaked out, and I quit. I mean, I tried, but I didn't win. I wasn't everything that I expected to be. And so I crawled back in my shell, and I stayed there. I mean, I did move on and married my high school sweetheart and grown up in a small town with a drug addict mother and a drug addict father and in and out of trouble and in and out of jail. I didn't want to be noticed like that. In my shell was much better. But it's called me to a career now where I recognize that kid when I see them. And I see hundreds of them every month. They come through the Y. And we get them engaged in every program that we can, so we can cheer them on, so we can be their hero, so we can be the one clapping behind them when mom doesn't show up to the game. Because that's what we do. And if you know a kid like that, if you were a kid like that, we would love to encourage you, to challenge you, to push you forward. So come see me at the Y, and let us get you plugged in somewhere where there's somebody to celebrate your success. Sue, Chris, or Regina? Chris is on his way. What do y'all think? Is this a valuable exercise?
Yes.
Those are the loudest boots I've ever known. You will not be sneaking up on anybody. No, best call to action.
Let me sell your house.
Okay?
So I'm a realtor. I've now been in Granbury for 3 years. I was a bar owner and small business owner in Fort Worth. I started my first business when I was 24. I opened up a bar. I thought a bar, going through college, I bartended, this is going to be easy. But that wasn't really one of the biggest motivations behind opening up a bar. It was, how do I meet women? I was still single, I was 24, what am I going to do? I'm going to open up a bar. I'll open up a bar right across the street from TCU. Well, I operated that bar for 13 years. People in and out, day in, day out. I never met her. Then I moved to Granbury, started working out at the YMCA. I'd worked out there for about a year with a girl named Crystal Chavez. She trained me 4 times a week. In those 4 days a week, over my first year with her, she never mentioned anything about my relationship status. Then one morning I came in and she goes, "Are you dating anybody?" Well, no, not seriously. I'm seeing some people, but she goes, I've got a friend I want you to meet. Okay, let's do that. One day, not too long after, July last year, I was out jet skiing on the lake. Here comes Crystal and a boat full of people. I wave to him from across the lake, do some fun jet ski stuff around the boat, some splashy. I put the jet ski away, get a phone call. "Hey, I've got a girl on, it's Crystal. My friend is on the boat with us today." why don't you come meet us at Stumpy's and we'll pick you up at the gas? Okay, let's do that. Went down and this blonde came out of this boat and didn't think it was her, but luckily for me, she was.
Isn't that terrible? You feel like I missed the punchline. So 4 months, 3 months, 4 months now? I met Holly that day. We haven't been apart in a year, 6 months, 7 months. And she agreed to marry me in November. See how you got to get to the end of the story either way? It's a temptation.
It's a happy ending, going home movie.
Wait, aren't you one of those homes that's for sale today?
Yes, I'm also a handsome son that's for sale.
She's like, he's not for sale, he's cheap and taken. All right, timer ready? Yes, we all heard that. I thought I had the perfect plan. I mean, I love to hang out in bars. And if you're not the bartender where everybody thinks you're cool and you're having all these conversations, there's only one step better. You know, besides the DJ. If you're not the bartender or the DJ, the next step is you got to own the place. So if you own the place, you kind of got free reign, right? You get to meet everybody that comes in the door. You're the VIP. Everybody wants to shake your hand. Everybody wants to hang out with you. And when you're a good-looking guy and you own the bar, you kind of the cat's meow. So I bought the bar right across the street from TCU, where all the good-looking rich girls go, right? Nothing. Not a single date worth having. So I gave up at TCU and I packed my bags and I moved to the big metropolis of Granbury. And I decided if I'm not going to be the cat's meow, I'm going to get back in the gym until I'm buff enough that they'll be chasing me down anyway. So I went to the gym and I hired a trainer and I worked out religiously. I made myself look as good as I possibly could. And all this time, my trainer never said, hey. And I'm thinking, whatever. Finally, she says to me, what is your status? What do you mean, my status? Well, are you available? Because I have this friend. Yeah, you got a friend. I know what you mean by that. Well, sure enough, I'm out playing on the jet ski, and she calls me and says, hey, this blonde's with me on the boat. You ought to meet her. And so I did. And I proposed to her. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to buying a house, you may think, I'm going to do it tomorrow, I'm going to do it today, I'm going to drive by and see the most beautiful thing, and bam, that's going to be the one. And let me tell you something, curb appeal and inside, not always the same. You may have some remodeling to do. You may have some work to do on you, or on the house, or on the property. But if you need help making that decision about finding the right place, I know what it means to wait. I know what it means to be prepared when the time comes. Maybe it's fix your credit, maybe it's put a little money aside. But when it's time to do that, call me. My name is Chris, and I'd love to be your realtor. And if you're Holly, you're a professional waiter. Waiting, patience, professional in patience. All right, we're down to Regina and Sue.
I'm going last.
Sue is going last. All right. Sue says, I am not coming up there until I have a clue what you're doing.
Exactly. And I still don't.
That's okay, I don't either.
I don't know which story to tell you. I have a lot.
Okay, what's your best call to action?
Escrow, well, bringing in more realtors, contracts, stuff like that. That's what I want, and to progress and build up my clientele.
So I'm going to ask you a question that we'll be asking each other shortly. Who is your ideal customer?
Loyal.
How many times do you see them?
Like one-on-one. So my ideal is, well, I mainly deal with builders and developers and realtors, but I have loyal ones that come, every time they get a contract, they bring it to me. I'm their one-stop shop.
So you want the returning builder as an ideal customer?
And realtors.
And realtor, okay.
I want it all.
No,
Who doesn't?
gotcha. All right. Timer starts when you start talking.
Well, okay, all right. I am both an introvert and extrovert. So when I'm in a crowd like this, one-on-one talking, I will listen to you. I will not start the conversation except for the weather. But you can only talk about the weather so long. I used to be in HR. I used to stand up in front of people, so that's not that nerve-wracking to me. It's talking about myself that's nerve-wracking. In the industry, I've worked myself up from great receptionist and stuff like that, but we're talking about more like me. So it's been a rough 3 years for me, 2.5. I've had 4 deaths in my family, and so I've been dealing with that a lot, and a lot of emotional trauma with that. Mom and my sister died within 6 days of each other, 2 separate reasons. And then just recently, my aunt and uncle, and that was tragic. But I am a mom of 7, his, mine, and ours, 15 grandkids, all that. I'm the caretaker. I'm the go-to. They're all mine. It doesn't matter if I birth them or not. I don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends, but I don't have any best friends. So there's only one person, a cousin, that I go to who's my, your confidant, the one that will go to the grave with your secrets. That's her. Other than that, that's it. I mean, simple life, go to work, come home. Just a lot of sadness trying to get over the past, really, 5 years. Because in 5 years, in my family, we've lost 6 people. So I'm just dealing with a lot of that. And I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, do you want to record or not?
Of course.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is you. Never mind. Okay.
Timer ready? A lot can change in 5 years. One phone call. Mom's gone. But over the course of 5 years, our family lost not 1, not 2, or even 3, but 6. That's a lot of change in 5 years. Add that to being a mother of 7, his, mine, and ours. We've been doing this a minute. 15 grandkids, a full-time job. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but my life is busy. I have a lot to do, a lot of people that I serve. There are a lot of people that I serve more than once, though. And I find that the reason they keep coming back is because we've built this relationship of trust. Oh, they've watched me walk through all of the drama of the last 5 years of my life, but they've also watched me consistently show up and do my job at the highest level possible. They've watched me do what I do well. And we have this trusting relationship, this loyalty. I don't have a whole lot of best friends. I don't have all the girls that I go out with on the weekends or go out and have wine together. That's not my life. I have 1 or 2 really close confidants and a whole lot of customers who trust me with the most important decisions in their life. Realtors, builders, families who are ready to build or buy a home. And they come to me and they're like, I don't know any of that part. I love the flowers in the front. I love that master bedroom suite. That's beautiful. Handle the paperwork. And just like all the other drama and trauma in my life, I take on what they need me to take on, and I take care of it, and I hand it back to them in a better state. That's what I do. I work at Porter Title, soon to be Capital Title, at this little marriage, and I'd love to help you come see me. Is that usable?
That is perfect, and I want to say that I almost cried just like she did.
Okay, so before Sue comes up, because I know she is fearless, I want to ask you a question. Of all the ones that you've heard so far, which talk sounded like a story? And by story, I mean it had a beginning, a middle, and end. It had characters. It had things that happened. You know when it started. You know when it stopped.
All of them.
I would say the YMCA and the boat, right? Why is that the case?
Because your story makes you who you are.
Story makes you who you are. That's not an untrue statement.
There's a feeling in it.
Say that again.
Maybe you can identify with her.
Okay.
I think the reason why I'm where I'm at is because of what happened when I was a kid. What led me to serve where I'm at now.
I say that's 100% true. And in fact, as we talk about this in a broader scale, when I do Storypower coaching, it's not just your elevator pitch. It's not just the story that you tell in the public. I have clients, I have one this week who's speaking in front of the Supreme Court twice. I have another one back in September, spoke with Tim Tebow at the AT&T Stadium. I have political clients who are running for office, some that are already in office, some of those are not even in this country. I've worked with the Parliament in the Congo twice, doing training over there. But here's what I find. When we get past the elevator pitch part and really start talking about the story, what we find is a human. And when we find a human who has a story like that we can resonate with and say, pick me. Somebody, anybody, celebrate me. Somebody applaud me for what I've accomplished. That's the deep desire in every human. We all want that. We all long for that. But that doesn't normally sound like a business pitch. So we leave it out. And instead we try to tell our resume and make it sound like a story. When you can tell that story in an event. I mean, if she just walked to the front and prefaced nothing else and said, I remember the day that I wanted to show off. I've been practicing for my 50-yard dash. I wanted to be the fastest kid there because deep in my heart, I just wanted the applause just once. I wanted all eyes on me and for it to be a good thing. Just once. Not looking at me because of my family and my past, but looking at me because of what I've accomplished. Just once. If that's all you heard, how many of you could raise your hand and go, been there? Don't be shy. Be real. Right? And so at one point in our life, we've all lived that exact moment. Maybe it wasn't the track meet. Maybe it was the football game. Maybe it was the prom. Maybe it was the Sadie Hawkins dance. But we all wanted just once for somebody to notice and care that I'm here. And every day there are retiring senior citizens that are sitting in their home by themselves. At 80 years old, they're still begging for the same thing. Will you just notice me? Will you just say hi to me? Will you just care that I exist? I was walking from Paradise back to my office on the square the other day. It's been about a month or so ago. And as I'm walking down the sidewalk by the beauty salon, it's got that strange little elevation and steps and the kind of handicap ramp there. And an old guy was coming at me. I'm an old guy. He was an older than me guy. He's coming at me, and he's kind of hobbling as it is, right? And so I stepped down off the steps to walk in the street and give him the full access of the ramp to walk up the sidewalk. And when I walked by, I just said, good morning, and kept going. I got about halfway across the street, and he stopped and he goes, hey. Yes, sir. He said, thank you. I said, sure, I didn't need the whole sidewalk anyway. He said, that's not what I meant. Thank you for saying hi to me. We stood there for 30 minutes. We talked about being veterans. We talked about how the world has changed. We talked about what it's like when everybody forgets you're still here for 30 minutes. See, that's the kind of story that I could lead into. Here's what I know about customer service. It starts with the customer and it ends with service. And if what you do doesn't start with your customer, don't bother. If it's about you, find something else to do. If what you're doing in your business is about your customer, then relate to your customer. They're humans. They want to do business with you, but they want to do business first with people they know, like, and trust. And how do you know somebody? When they tell you a story like that. Following? The story that begins in the middle of the action and progresses through an event allows you to step into that moment in time and go, okay, I didn't live exactly like that, but I know exactly how that felt. Was there anybody who was not emotionally moved when she was? Everybody was emotionally moved when she was. Everybody felt that because we've all felt it before. It's called a common experience. And when the stories that you tell include a common experience, people see you as a human. You step into their world, they step into your world. People say it all the time. Anybody in here in sales? You should all have your hands up, right? Because your business will fail if you're not in sales. But if you're in sales, here's a reality that I've learned in years of sales training, both as a trainee and as a trainer. Nobody buys logically. Nobody buys logically. We all buy emotionally and justify it logically later. And when you can get at what they feel before you start hitting them with the price becomes irrelevant. It's a true story, and I don't care what you're selling. It's a true story. All right, Sue, let's see your best story.
I haven't lived that one yet. You think I need that?
Okay, if you can use it if you want to. You can hold it, you can fiddle with it, you can put it in your pocket. What's your best call to action?
To make people happy.
That's not a call to action.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
you
been
do.
trying to figure that out.
Come stay over the treetops. Which is more profitable for you, to join the Clue events or to come stay at the you call it an Airbnb or just a B&B?
It's a B&B.
Okay.
Let me cook for you anytime.
Okay, we'll go with that.
So for 13 years, from the time I was 5 till the day I left, after the day I turned 18, I peeled potatoes, I cooked meatloaf. My mom had, she was a home, she had older people in our home. My dad built 7 rooms in the back with its own dining room. And I was the first one up every morning at 4 a.m. Cooked breakfast for anywhere from, well, our family had 7 people in it. I was the middle child, oldest girl. So I cooked breakfast for these people, made lunches for my brothers and sisters to go to lunch, and I always gave my brother the heel because he was mean to me. I had to run to school to be there on time, and then I was the first one back home, started the supper routine. No, and I also didn't get to go to recess because I had to come home and serve the patients, as we call them, lunch. So that's what I did for pretty much 18 years. But I did love to do things, and my favorite time was on Sunday when my dad was actually home from work, and I got to watch Walt Disney, and every once in a while we got to play games. So, and the one thing that always broke my heart was when I was done with my chores every night, I had to get straight A's or I would have been in trouble. So I usually did my homework and read my things under my covers with a flashlight and maybe fall asleep about 2 to get up at 4 and start the day all over again. But I loved it when my dad was home and we played hide and seek, and I lived on 100 acres of land.
I encourage you to go to storypoweracademy.com and check it out. Look at the different classes, the different levels, the different things that are available. You can take a lot of them a la carte. But spend some time there and see if that's the kind of thing that would change the way you communicate as a leader, as a pastor, as a counselor, as a political leader. And if that will help you, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Again, only 10 people in the Elite Speakers. You will have to apply for that. But if you're a candidate, I'd love to have that conversation with you. I'm Loren Norris with Storypower Academy. I look forward to seeing you inside.